Well, there's been more drama on the third day of the SAFTU elective congress. Early in the afternoon, proceedings were stalled yet again. It's over the issue of whether 4 national office bearers can contest for leadership positions. Our reporter Ziyanda Ngcobo is watching that congress for us. Ziyanda, of course, the future of this congress very much seems to stem or hang on this issue of these 4 individuals and whether or not their suspensions will be lifted. It's a stalemate of sorts. Any clear way in terms of whether this is going to be resolved?
We're live, Leander. So the issue has been resolved, Kathy, after a closed-door meeting with the General Secretaries, I should say, and the presidents of the union delegates. And one of those was Irvin Jim, who has been at the center, I guess, of a lot of the drama in this Congress. Mr. Jim, I think one of the first things I'd like to speak to you about is this issue of the 4 national office bearers that since Monday, this Congress couldn't even get underway. First, it was about getting them reinstated. This morning, you changed angles after your motion failed yesterday to have them reinstated. Then this morning, you said, no, actually, they should be allowed to stand. I mean, what is it about these individuals that you are so adamant about?
Well, we very firm that it was important for us to do everything, and I think it should be appreciated that we didn't run to court. We took a conscious decision to exhaust every avenue internally in the organization. These comrades would have been suspended for questioning various transactions of finances of the Federation, where, according to them, the General Secretary of SAFTU would have acted outside the policy of the Federation. And they would have sent him a letter called precautionary suspension. And for sending that letter, and out of their belief that they have got powers to supervise everybody, including the General Secretary in the Federation, in line with the worker control, they were suspended. We firmly believe that what they didn't require any suspension. In fact, we firm that if the Federation differed with the decision that they took, which they didn't execute, the General Secretary was not suspended, is still here, the NEC had powers to take a decision to simply just say, we differ with you, we're changing your decision.
So what was the point of trying to push to have them reinstated if anyway, come Wednesday, you're going to say allow them to contest as normal delegates? What was the point of that anyway?
I think 2 things. One, if we would have succeeded, of course we lost democratically last night. They won against us to uplift the suspension. From where we stand, technically and legally, the people who are in the Congress are members and shop stewards who represent their constituency. And if they are in a Congress, they have got a legitimate right to be nominated and to stand. And we then said, fine, we lost the upliftment of the suspension, which in our view, it was unconstitutional, it was unprocedural. We then said, but you can't tamper with their right to stand and to be nominated, because the term of the office that they serve, they have completed the term. It means everybody must get a new term. We of the view, we need the kind of leadership that take care of the resources of the Federation, that drives the interests of members, both in the shop floor, but including making sure that the financials of the Federation are taken care of. And the only way we are of the view that if they are defeated, it must be out of a democratic process. And I think that out of the hard fight we had to do today, we successfully managed to persuade everybody. It was not a nice discussion, but we had to be principled because we're building a democratic federation that must take care of the workers.
This hard fighting also included you threatening to actually, as Numsa, walk out of this Congress. And an interpretation of this has been to say, well, you are now elevating slate politics to this federation by making it about personalities, in particular a battle between you and Zwelinzima Vavi. I mean, what exactly is at the heart of this? What's your relationship with Mr. Vavi, as we've been seeing you pushing against certain issues that have been interpreted as a personal attack on your General Secretary?
We have no business of being booty-booty arrangement between myself and Zwelinzima Vavi. What brings us together is to grow this federation, to unite workers. And he chose that in dealing with the challenge of the transactions that is alleged about to account, he coined this thing. And he said the elephant in the room, and I'm sure you would have heard that, the elephant in the room, which is behind all of this, he personally really believe that Irvin Jim is the one who's plotting behind the scene. To be blunt, I've got nothing to do with his perception. They are not real. There's no truth in it. I didn't send him a letter of an intention to suspend to account on the transactions. The fact that he chose to spin that and drive a propaganda right through, he did that in our regional congresses, he did that in the build-up towards this Congress. We have no such an agenda as a union, including myself. What I advocate is a decision that are democratically taken in the Numsa structures.
Two bulls and one crawl, I'd say, Kathy. Not really much resolution in terms of that relationship. Not the same as it was in 2017 when this federation was formed, but certainly Jim remaining steadfast that this is a matter of principle. And as I speak to you now, finally the commissions have now broken into their various topics, and perhaps then there will be a rigorous discussion about the workers' plight more than it has been about these 4 national office bearers that have bedeviled this Congress since its inception on Monday.
All right, and I suppose the travesty here is really the lost opportunity that comes out of having a union like SAFTU if, their congresses are going to descend into that kind of contestation around leadership, it being centered over personalities than the interests of workers. Ziyanda Ngcobo will continue watching that particular congress.